The war in Israel has caused shocking events. For the first time in its history, SpaceX is helping other countries, not just the United States. Few people know that in addition to Starlink satellites, Elon Musk also has satellites that can overload enemy defense and intelligence systems, disabling them. This feature should help Israel cope with the threat, although the country itself has some impressive weapons. The list includes the Iron Dome and its laser version, the Iron Beam, which are worth exploring in more detail. The Iron Dome is an air defense system introduced by Israel 10 years ago.
Its goal is to, as much as possible, intercept rockets.
The system was first tested in real combat conditions in 2011, successfully defeating volley missile attacks. Since then, the system's been continuously improved and actively used in various conflicts in the Middle East, including the 2014 hostilities between Israel and Palestine. The main mission of the Iron Dome is to protect against short and medium-range missiles, as well as to defend against artillery rounds. The system is designed to detect, track, and destroy enemy missiles in real time. The system is a sophisticated machine that includes a radar and a control center capable of quickly recognizing and predicting the trajectories of approaching missiles. Due to its high speed, the system can respond to threats within 15 seconds.
It gives the IDF, more time actually to target Hamas and Islamic Jihad infrastructure, terror infrastructure, in the hope to somehow, impair their capabilities to stop this.
But probably the main element of the system is the installations for destroying enemy missiles. Each block contains 3 to 4 such installations capable of firing up to 20 Tamir missiles at a speed of 1,900 miles per hour. This weapon's equipped with a radar system and a thermal imager for precise targeting. The system intercepts threats targeting residential areas by launching an interceptor missile that explodes next to the attacking missile, scattering fragments and neutralizing the threat. By the way, for even more accurate detection of the enemy, it's better to use the help of Elon Musk, or rather his satellites circling in space. They can transmit accurate and complete information to the Iron Dome. After that, Israel can easily destroy all approaching threats or launch its missiles at enemy systems. With this approach, the effectiveness of the Iron Dome reaches 90%, shooting down about 2,400 missiles over the past 10 years.
I would say around 90% of the interceptions we wanted to make, we make, but still there's too many rockets raining down here.
However, the remaining 10% pose a potential threat to cities. Although many consider this system to be a guarantee of safety, the effectiveness of such protection has long been questioned even by experts. The enemy, using cheaper missiles, can save a lot of money, which makes it unprofitable to use the Iron Dome. Nevertheless, there's a solution to this problem, either the destroying of the missile launching systems themselves or the implementation of a laser system. Israel was interested in both options, and while the first would have required seeking help from space exploration companies, the second option was immediately available. This is a well-known practice in the international community. 10 years ago, for example, the United States developed lasers to combat drones, missiles, and other airborne threats. The Athena project was an example of such a program. It's a mobile laser system for defeating air targets with an efficiency close to 100%. Later, this technology was used in such air defense systems as Patriot. If we recall that the United States works closely with Israel, it becomes clear that similar technologies have been transferred to help, along with SpaceX satellites. Lasers do have many advantages over traditional methods, and Israel, realizing this, has improved its Iron Dome for more effective protection. Laser weapons have 3 key advantages. First, the laser beam instantly reaches the target without a complex aiming system. Secondly, the cost of a shot is only $3 to $4 as opposed to tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars for an anti-aircraft missile. Third, laser systems are more reliable than conventional air defense systems.
There are 2 advantages. One, the cost per kill, the recurrent is low, and the second is that there is no ammunition.
Unlike the Iron Dome system, which has a 90% missile shoot-down rate, the lasers easily destroy targets at a distance of 3 feet to 6 miles and do not require recharging, operating continuously when power is available. Israel, knowing the advantages, reinforced the Iron Dome with a system called Iron Beam. It detects and destroys targets at the speed of light, providing an effective means of destroying missile threats. Iron Beam is a mobile laser system capable of destroying missiles and mortars in just 5 seconds. With a speed of 37 miles per hour, it provides instant protection at the right places, unlike traditional air defense systems, which require 10 minutes for activation. The power of the laser is up to 100 kilowatts, making it possible to destroy even fighter jets.
The range is limited. It's more limited than the range of interceptor weapons.
The disadvantage of Iron Beam is its poor performance in low visibility conditions. However, combining it with the Iron Dome will allow Israel to achieve maximum protection, but it still doesn't reach 100%, so it was necessary to turn to the most unlikely ally for help. SpaceX turned out to be the main candidate for the role of supporting Israel because it was this company that created a unique kind of satellite capable of destroying enemy systems. SpaceX's idea to surround the Earth with 12,000 satellites and provide broadband internet access to all over the globe was originally intended for a purely civilian purpose. But in fact, it was created for completely different purposes. Elon Musk's satellites can not only provide internet, but also reconnaissance and attack, and they do it in a very unusual way. They're able to not only receive huge amounts of information from the internet, but also to transmit this information. Thus, each satellite is equipped with a system that creates directional interference in any equipment on the ground. A satellite aimed at a target can overload its electronics with a huge amount of information. This makes it possible to disable defense systems or load radar so that they cannot accurately determine where the missile's coming from and where it's going. Another way to use them is to introduce interference into enemy missiles that are already flying, throwing them off track. However, this idea works well only outside of cities because missiles can hit civilian objects. As you can see, this feature of SpaceX satellites works perfectly for military purposes, and in the context of military operations, it's a sin not to take advantage of this benefit.
The U.S. support for the Iron Dome and Israel's new laser-enabled system called the Iron Beam.
The satellites can also be used for reconnaissance. To determine its position in space, Starlink uses the most precise sensors, which have enough power to reconnoiter vast enemy territories. The result is a clear and well-thought-out security system that has no flaws. As we've already said, the number of Elon Musk satellites reaches 12,000, all of which circle our entire planet. They do not require refueling and provide access to round-the-clock threat detection. This extraordinary cooperation can ultimately bring victory to Israel. The enemy has only one way to gain the upper hand: to create weapons capable of destroying targets in space. However, so far only the United States and China have such weapons. For these purposes, the Pentagon has developed its own fighter jet capable of flying in space for 800 days without a break, and China has armed itself with missiles whose range can even reach satellites. There's no way for Israel's enemy to surpass the defense system consisting of the Iron Dome with laser weapons and SpaceX satellites. Videos have already been posted online showing the new system in operation, and it's reported that it's already managed to shoot down an enemy shell. Will laser systems be able to outperform conventional air defense? Can lasers be used not only for defense but also for attack? What systems are in the service of Israel, and are they really capable of protecting civilians from the threat? The idea of using a directed laser beam against air targets has long been discussed by scientists in the military. Several things are attractive about it.
I said there are two advantages. One, the cost per kill, the recurrent is low, and the second is that there is no ammunition.
The first is the speed of flight. The laser beam reaches the target almost instantly, so there's no need for complex targeting systems. The laser system simply needs to be visually aimed at the target without any corrections for target movement. This applies not only to slow drones or helicopters, but also to highly maneuverable fighters or even hypersonic missiles. In any case, the light beam will follow the enemy and destroy it, as if it were easier than killing a mosquito. The second feature of lasers is their low cost. The cost of one laser shot is $3 to $4. Compare this with the hundreds of thousands of dollars that would have to be paid for the simplest anti-aircraft missile, and you'll realize how profitable it is to use energy weapons. For comparison, you can buy a meal at McDonald's for $3, or you can use it to protect an entire city from destruction. For example, a primitive Qassam rocket, which Arab militants fire at Israel, costs only a few $100s because of the quality of its assembly. At the same time, a Tamir anti-aircraft missile from the Iron Dome air defense system costs about $80,000. That is, if the enemy launches 100 of its missiles, it'll spend 500 times less money than it'll take to destroy them. With a laser, this arithmetic works in the opposite direction, and financial exhaustion will overtake the enemy faster. Finally, the third advantage is that laser systems are much more reliable than conventional air defense. As you can see, the same Iron Dome system has only 80% missile hit rate. Arab missiles repeatedly penetrated the defense and hit the cities. During Black Belt operation from November 12th to 21st, 2019, about 1,400 missiles were fired at Israel, and only 90% were intercepted. You can imagine the consequences of the remaining missiles.
I would say around 90% of the interceptions we wanted to make, we make, but still there's too many rockets raining down here.
The fact is that one Iron Dome launcher has only 20 Tamir missiles, and after they're used, it takes several hours to reload them. At this time, it becomes defenseless. On the other hand, the laser shoots all the time and doesn't need recharging at all. All it needs is a source of electrical power, whether it's a power plant or just a generator, and a supply of fuel. Perhaps the last advantage of laser air defense worth mentioning is that the Iron Dome is poor at shooting down targets launched from a distance of less than 2 miles or flying quite low. For example, fighter jets and drones can easily enter the zone of inaccessibility of defense systems and cause enough damage. For a laser, hitting such targets is a very simple task, because its range of operation is from 3 feet to 6 miles.
If you push the button, your beam touches the rocket at the speed of light. But then it hits.
But what kind of laser weapons does Israel have? First of all, it's worth mentioning Iron Beam, which is currently the most common defense system. Iron Beam is a fiber optic laser that can capture targets at the speed of light at distances of up to 6 miles. It takes only 5 seconds to destroy missiles and mortar shells. Convenience also lies in the fact that Iron Beam is a mobile system, meaning that it can move independently at a speed of 37 miles per hour. This is enough time to move between danger points and provide protection exactly where it's needed. Unlike conventional air defense systems, which require at least 10 minutes to activate, Iron Beam can fire as soon as it arrives at the position. The latest version of the laser has a power of 100 kilowatts, so it's enough to destroy fighter jets by burning out their equipment. Surprisingly, the development of such a unique weapon did not require much money, only $1 billion. For example, the average cost of developing air defense systems is $25 billion. You might think that the Iron Beam has only advantages, but even this system has disadvantages. For example, it doesn't work well in poor visibility conditions, including heavy clouds, fog, or other adverse weather conditions.
The disadvantage. One is a short range, the other is the sensitivity to weather, and the third is the low kill rate.
Because of this, the Israeli Ministry of Defense decided to install the system on an aircraft, which would help overcome this limitation by placing the system high in the sky. Its power reaches 60 kilowatts, which is more than enough to destroy aircraft, shells, and missiles. At the same time, the distance of its attack is practically unlimited, as it depends only on how close the fighter can fly to the target. Israel currently has 2 aircraft in service that can carry this laser, the F-35 and the F-15. The first one is better for defense purposes because its speed is not high, only 1,200 miles per hour, but the second one can fly at a speed of over 1,900 miles per hour, which is almost a record for fighters. The F-15 can fly up to 3,400 miles, so it can reach almost any target with a laser.
The F-15 was very effective at sweeping them out of the sky, and if they had any airplanes, they weren't flying.
With the help of such a connection, Israel can destroy even long-range ballistic missiles. But what if the enemy's on the ground, not in the air? Is there a way to use laser weapons against enemy tanks and troops? Yes, there is such a way. Israeli Merkava tanks are quite a powerful weapon, as they're armed with a huge 120mm cannon and are the most armored tanks in the world. However, the developers decided that this was not enough and tried to equip them with laser systems similar to those installed on Abrams. This smaller version of the Iron Beam is not inferior in power to the version installed on fighter jets, but has a shorter range of only 3 miles. Nevertheless, this version copes not only with its initial defensive tasks, but can also be used as an offensive weapon. The fact is that the enemy equipment has obvious vulnerabilities such as ammunition or technical equipment. Usually this equipment reacts extremely poorly to high temperatures, and the laser beam destroys targets by heating them up to thousands of degrees Fahrenheit. It's enough for Merkava to aim at a target and the laser will immediately heat it up, and then either the equipment will fail or the shells in the warhead will detonate, tearing the equipment apart from the inside. It turns out to be a kind of long-range cumulative projectile that's impossible to defend against.
Its goal is to, as much as possible, intercept rockets which have...
With such weapons in its arsenal, Israel could completely abandon its conventional air defense systems, but currently the number of these weapons does not exceed several dozen systems. According to the Ministry of Defense, the Iron Beam laser and its smaller versions will now be used as a complement to the Iron Dome, providing reliable cover where it's needed most. And a full replacement of the equipment will take place as soon as there are enough laser systems. This is the end of the video. Thank you for watching this far. We'd be extremely grateful if you'd subscribe to our channel and write in the comments your opinion about what you saw in this video. In the meantime, we wish you a good day. We'll see you soon.